Welcome to the 10-day trend. April is renowned for having dramatic swings in weather. We are going to see changes, particularly as we go into next week, but they look fairly sedentary. We're going to see gradual changes through next week. For this week, we've got a bit of a battle going on with high pressure dominating to the east, weather fronts trying to push in from the west, but never really succeeding. Overall, the high pressure will dominate as we go through the Easter weekend, which means a lot of fine weather, and with high to the east and low to the west, the winds generally coming up from the south. That is going to bring some warmth, certainly a lot warmer than it was last weekend. If we rewind the pressure pattern, we can show the temperature profile and see that the relatively warm conditions do stick around despite these weak weather fronts trying to change things. A little further east though, close to this high pressure, we do have quite a lot of cold air, and that could just drift onto some eastern coasts at times through the weekend. But the general themes through Easter weekend, a lot of dry weather and reasonably warm weather as well. Probably the peak of the temperatures maybe on Friday with widely, certainly across the Midlands, southeast England, temperatures close to 20 degrees, 22, 23 is possible across the southeast. But the wind direction will play a part, cooler on some coasts, particularly if it stays misty and with a bit more cloud across Scotland. Temperatures here perhaps not quite as high, but again, Saturday looking widely fairly warm for the time of year, certainly a lot warmer than last Saturday. And again, we could see highs of 19, 20 degrees across the southeast. The east coast by this stage looking a little fresher, particularly if that breeze just starts to pick up somewhat off the North Sea. But overall, as I said, with high pressure nearby, a lot of fine weather through the weekend and even into Sunday, the weather by and large sticking to the fine weather with high pressure close by. Again, another weather front will bring a few more showers across parts of Scotland, but generally high pressure southerly winds bringing a lot of decent weather until we get to Monday, when these weather fronts start to introduce cooler conditions and a band of showery rain crossing the country during Easter Monday. But overall, as I said, the long weekend's looking generally set fair. Certainly the first half or first 3 quarters of it looking dry and reasonably warm before we see things turning wetter with that band of rain crossing the country on Monday. But even then, it will just be a band of rain moving through, so you get your timings right. You could still have some fine weather on Bank Holiday Monday. But it will be turning cooler for Monday, certainly a different feel. This weather front introducing the fresher conditions from the Atlantic, finally pushing away that area of high pressure. So cooler, fresher weather for Easter Monday and probably lasting into Tuesday and probably beyond. Actually, next week looking a fair bit cooler and generally turning a bit more unsettled with low pressure tending to take control. But it is going to be a gradual process. This is what I was talking about at the start. It is only going to gradually switch. We're not going to see a dramatic change. This is the pressure trend from the European model, where red is high pressure and blue is low pressure. The dates going forward there along the top. The previous model runs going down the side here. So you can see a definite trend as we go through the second half of next week. Most of the computer models suggesting that low pressure will start to dominate more and more. But it is a gradual change. It's not one day high pressure, the next day low pressure. And another way of looking at that, this is what we call the plumes. These set of 3 graphs are for Reading specifically and show different weather elements. The first one is temperature, not at the surface, but at around about 1,500 meters up, which gives an indication of, the warmth of the general air. And you can see that we are expecting a drop as we go through Monday into next week. As I said, these graphs are for Reading, but I could have picked almost anywhere across the UK and that have shown a similar signal. This one's for rainfall. Again, we run the model many times and you do get some of the computer suggestions that there will be a bit of showery rain at times, but generally it's looking pretty dry through the Easter weekend until we get to next week, when we've got those peaks suggesting much more chance of rain as we go through, especially the second half of next week. And this graph is indicative of the pressure pattern, and you can see there that build over the next few days with high pressure and control, and that general gentle drop as we go through the early part of next week. So it's not clear cut, but definite signals there that next week will bring a bit of a change after a largely fine long weekend. Much more mixed weather next week with generally cooler and wetter weather on the cards. But there's always going to be day-to-day variability. And of course, at this time of year, if you do get some sunshine, it will feel pretty warm. The sun is getting stronger and stronger. For the details then on that day-to-day variability, make sure you keep up to date with the Met Office, and we'll give you the updates closer to the time. And the best way to do that, of course, is to follow us across social media.